What is going on, guys? I hope you're doing well. And as we can see here, we did it, boys. We did it. We had a fun week of super release One Piece, and pretty excited to talk about it. It's been a very busy week, and yeah, we were able to win twice the tournament and pick up some packs, some promos, good stuff. All right, so before getting started to the video, make sure to subscribe and leave a like if you also participated into the pre-release, and leave a comment which deck did you use, and I will be telling you guys the deck that I used on this video. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so the deck that I've been using for this pre-release and pretty much every tournament that I've participated in um, is Kaido. Uh, Main reason why I chose Kaido is pretty much because he was the one that we could try uh, in the free tutorial application. And so I was a little bit more comfortable with it. I tried to play the other uh, games like online on like Tabletop Simulator or on Tap, and honestly, like the ramp aspect of Kaido is what spoke to me a little bit more. So we have Kaido, and we'll go through the deck that that makes the starter deck. So here we have four Jinrumi. I mean, this card is you know, pretty much I used it for the counter more than anything. Or if I had it on my first turn and I started, because it's a one cost for 3,000, puts a little bit of pressure. And but other than that, I don't really play her after turn one. I just keep her for discarding or for counters. Then you have the Black Maria, the blocker, the essential blocker. Um, this is very important to have on board, especially against Luffy and Kid. And I'll talk about that a little bit more after. But, you know, two cost, 2,000. It's a good blocker. And we get four of these, which is pretty cool. Then the next one, we get Sheep's Head. And Sheep's Head, similar to Jinromi, like you want to use it for counters, right? But sometimes you do actually play them because it's still a 4,000. So to get to, let's say, 7,000 attack, uh, it doesn't take a lot, three dons, and you can do decent pressure. Like something that I've realized, 7K is pretty much a good, it's a sweet spot for attacks. And it's because it takes like at least like two to three for every leader to counter. So make sure to discard their resources from the hand by applying this pressure. So this one works well counter or like on the field, but late game you don't really want to see him on the field. So early pressure, and then you move on to other things. So next we have Who's Who. Who's Who? Fortunately, we only had two. It's a pretty good trigger and a pretty good three cost whenever you can play it. Um, what's good about that is late game, you can use that to destroy some of the blockers that your opponent have so that you can attack with your bigger characters. And I don't have to say, as a trigger, you play it, boom, for free, you just activate it, and that's pretty well. Would have loved to have that at 4 or at least 3 for the super priorities, but we only have 2. So pretty good card. And with 3000 attack, doesn't take much to apply some pressure. So overall, pretty good card. Then we have Sasaki. Sasaki here. Like at first, I wasn't really convinced about Sasaki, but we it's still pretty good. It is pretty good, and one of the reasons why is if you don't have your stage or your blockers or anything, you can use Sasaki to dig through your deck, right? Kaido, that's one of the only ways that he has to go through the deck is by drawing. So we use Sasaki and you can draw a card, right? But the cost of 1 down if you don't have um, your uh, your stage, it can slow you down a little bit, but you really do need to go dig through your deck to get those cards. And with 4000 um, attack, it's pretty reasonable for a card, right? Only 3 downs to make it 7000, or you don't even have to make it 7000, just 6 or 5, just to waste your opponent's resources to block that, so that later on your big characters can go for the knockout. Next, we have 2 jacks. 2 jacks, and that's something also the same as Who's Who. I would have wished we had more. I mean, on play, trash 1 card and draw, no, and add a Dawn, sorry, and you add a Dawn. So a lot of the times, even though we have 4 of the stages, uh, surprisingly, I played a lot of my tournaments without the stage, which was a little bit inconvenient. So Jack is something that we can use to put some downs by discarding, I don't know, like a vanilla card or something that is not very useful. And 4000 attack, it's a pretty good. And then next we have 4 Drake. Honestly, Xray, I've used it mostly for his counter 1000. It's pretty good. And even though, yes, he is at 5000, it's a big number. You don't even have to have it down to apply pressure to your opponent. But just the fact that he's a 3 cost, it's easily removable from the game. A lot of things that destroy 3 or lower cost. So, so yeah, so like if I could use something else, I would on my field. But good counter, a good number if it manages to stay on the field. And you can easily make it go up for with your downs. After that is OT. OT, I have to say, is a pretty good card. Not only does it have 2000, can count as a super counter, but it can also bring page 1. Page 1, we have 4 of each. And page 1, 4 cost, 6000. The 4 cost, surprisingly, harder to get rid of in the field. Obviously, yes, there are things that you can use to remove that, but you get to summon 2 characters like at once. So they have to pick. It's either OT or page 1, and OT, she still has 5000. So it's a force to reckon with. So both of these, OT has 2000 counters and page 1 has 1000. So overall, pretty good card, and especially when you use them in a combo. After that, it's Queen. Queen, again, I'm gonna repeat myself a lot with that. I wish there were more. I'm not teaching you anything new. Kaido, one of his weaknesses is that he doesn't have enough blockers to be able to ramp up. And so with just 2 queens, it was pretty good. But obviously, if you could put 4, you would put 4. Um, and it has a similar mechanic as the other lower cards that you get to draw. So for one Dawn, you get to draw two cards and trash one, which is again pretty good because Kaido needs to go through his deck to find the hard hitters, the removals, or even the stage. So whatever can make you draw is a good thing for Kaido. And it has 6,000 for five cost and is a blocker. You can block pretty much anything that's out there. Next, you have King. King, King. You want to see it on the board. At 7,000, six cost. Six cost, not a lot of things are going to remove him from the field. So that's pretty good and pretty important because for your late game, you need to have at least a king. If you don't have a king uh, on your late board, it's pretty hard to go for the win, especially against uh, all the blockers out there. For example, if you're playing against Kid, if he has one of his Kid blockers, uh, you're in trouble if you don't have him. Like you have to have him to force him to block, and then you can aim to try to destroy it or something. Because the moment he has two, you're in trouble. So for one Dawn, you get to KO a level a four cost or less. That's pretty good. So you can play King, remove a blocker, remove anything that boosts your opponent's character, like Jinbei for Luffy or stuff like that. And yeah, six cost, seven attack. It's pretty decent. And you have the big Kaido, your main like late game monster, I guess. um, 9 cost, 10k. So 10k, it's pretty hard to block in itself. 10k. So if you have your stage, if you have your downs left, you can make him pretty big to go for the knockout. And like if you have your stage, you can easily do like put your Kaido, do his ability, and then next turn you do your leader's ability to go for KOs and stuff like that. So that's pretty good. So for 5 down that you put back in your down deck, you can this KO a level, not a level, but a 6 cost or less, and it gets rush. So not only can you destroy a 6 cost or less, which is um, most of the things, except for obviously Kid and the blocker and Doflamingo, I believe, from the Crocodile deck. Um, and obviously Kaido if you ever have a mirror matchup. But you can KO the Crocodile blocker and then just go for face or kill something else, and very versatile. And yeah, it costs 9, but it's really worth it. Really worth it. And then you have your Blast Breath. Blast Breath, pretty good counter. 1 cost, put 1 down back, and your leader or your character has plus 4,000 power during the turn. Uh, Fortunately, it doesn't have a trigger. Would have been a lot better if it had a trigger, but it's still pretty good as a counter. And then you have 2 lead performer disaster. And honestly, I know a lot of people don't like this card, but I do really enjoy it. Yeah, I think it's good, especially because you if you don't get your stage and if you don't get your draw power, you need to have that to go through your deck to be able to put down, to be able to increase your chance to ramp up to your big guys, your king, your Kairos. And honestly, I do feel it's underrated, especially since it has a trigger. You draw 1 card. And with Kaido, if you don't have a blocker, if you don't have your stage, or if you don't have um the perfect hand, you need to draw as much as you want as you can, because you need to have counters in your hand, get your stage, get your king and everything. Because trust me, if you don't have enough cards in your hand and if you don't have your blockers or anything, Luffy and Kid will just walk all over you. It's not even funny. It can be a complete beginner, and then he just gets the rushes, just attacks every turn and everything, and you just can't keep up. So that's why I enjoy this. Like I really like this card because even if it just draws you a counter, it could draw you an OT, it could draw you like any other counter, and that can save your life pretty much. Then two, Black Joe Bomber. Uh, this at two, like 6 cost, can KO one um, character that's 6 or less, and then you put one down active. Uh, it is pretty good, and especially and unfortunately, the trigger is not. It's not the same as the ability, but it's at least it gives you a down. And sometimes I have used the trigger just to put a down, so that next turn I can go for KOs a lot easier. And yeah, and a removal. Who doesn't like a removal? But I do believe that only two is enough. Um, and yeah, then the last card is the stage, Onigashima Island. At like what can I say? It's almost mandatory to have like if you don't have it, it really slows you down. But at the same time, if you get too many in your hand, it can kill you. Like I've had moments where I had Onigashima in my hand, but then I had like three, the other three in my hand. So I do understand that it's a very good card, but it doesn't counter. So sometimes it's just one on the field, the three others are useless. So obviously you use the three others to discard whenever you have queen, whenever you have the other cards that makes you discard to be able to draw, to be able like uh, like that's when you use those. So, but for 3 cost, you tap and then you put a down rested on your area, helps you ramp up. Like I don't have to explain why this is good. Like this is pretty vital for Kaido, especially in this format that you're limited with the cards that you have on the super pre-release starter deck. You need that, but do you need as many as four? I have my doubts, but I will talk about this a little bit later. So that's pretty much it for the Kaido deck. Here you can see the tournament results that I had over the past week. And like I said, we did pretty well. 3 wins, 2 Luffy's. And here you can see the matchups that is good for Kaido and bad against Kaido. I'm not going to get too into it, but you guys pretty much know that against Rush decks, he has trouble. And then against Crocodile, it's a pretty easy win, in my opinion. Here we have the deck that I will be testing this week. Kind of made it pretty fast, and just so that I can start playing the new set, testing out other versions of Kaido. So that's it. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this list, and tell me about your experience of the super pre-release. Which deck are you going to be playing for the OP1 set of One Piece when it comes out in December? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content of One Piece and other card games. I'm going to try to do probably Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh, but I will try to focus on One Piece from now on because I really enjoy the game and I hope that we can enjoy it together. So make sure you go on the Discord that I have linked in the description so we can play some games of One Piece over a webcam on Discord. I would love to see you there. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.